Hey everybody, welcome to this week's video. My name is Nicole Severson, and this week we're gonna talk about codependency. So for the longest time, this was almost like a trigger word for me. Every time I heard it, when people have talked about it, it just sounds like a bad word. Like nobody wants to be codependent, even though to some level we all are in our own ways. But I just bought this book by Melody Beattie that's called Codependence No More, and this book is blowing my mind. And I'm only a couple chapters in, but I'm really excited about this video this week because this book in the 3.5, 4 chapters I've read has kind of almost been life-changing for me because it gave me a sense of ownership over something I've struggled with for as long as I can remember, basically, especially in my dating life, going back to even as a young teenager, that this book has given me kind of like a diagnosis in a way. And so we're going to talk about it because I want to share it with you, and if it resonates, then maybe you can check out this book and see how that goes for you. So the definition that Melody has here in the book for codependent is a codependent person is one who has let another person's behavior affect him or her and who is obsessed with controlling that person's behavior. That sounds so harsh. It sounds so harsh. But I'm going to read on a couple paragraphs just so you get a better feel for what this actually means. So the other person that the codependent is dealing with, the other person might be a child, an adult, a lover, a spouse, a brother, a sister, a grandparent, a parent, a client, or a best friend. He or she could be an alcoholic, a drug addict, a mentally or physically ill person, a normal person who occasionally has sad feelings, or one of the people mentioned earlier in this book. So at the heart of the definition and recovery lies not in the other person, no matter how much we believe it does. It lies in ourselves, in the ways we have let other people's behavior affect us, and in the ways we try to affect them. The obsessing, the controlling, the obsessive helping and caretaking. Low self-worth, bordering on self-hatred or self-repression, abundance of anger and guilt, peculiar dependency on peculiar people, attraction to and tolerance for the bizarre, other-centeredness that results in abandonment of self, and communication problems, intimacy problems, an ongoing whirlwind trip through the 5-stage grief process. So is codependency an illness? Some professionals say codependency isn't a disease. They say it's a normal reaction to abnormal people. But other professionals say codependency is a disease. It's a chronic progressive illness. So the reason I'm really into this book is because I have struggled with this my entire life, and I have done so much self-help, coaching, mentoring, seminars, healing schools, everything, and for the longest time I was chasing this dragon of feeling like something was just not right in me, and this book has summed it up in a way that I had no idea. And because I resisted the word codependency for so long because I didn't actually understand or know what it was. And so this book is just amazing, and I'm going to share a little bit about my personal life and hope that this information can help you or someone you know who does these kinds of behaviors. So a little background on me. I grew up with a lot of addicts, and the most difficult for me was probably with my brother being an addict. One of my brothers is and has been an addict since he was 13 years old, and he's still an addict. And it really affected our family. And during when my brother and I still lived at home, it never was really dealt with. And I think our entire family just kind of went into this reaction mode. Like we were always reacting to his problems and his addictions and kind of the chaos that his drug addictions created in our family. And we all just kind of reacted to it instead of really having any control over the situation. So that's just like one little piece of my family dynamics. But in that, and growing up with my brother and that addiction, and some other people in my family having really strong alcohol addictions, I became a codependent, and it shows up in my relationships, and it's amazing now to really have a reference or a guide to learn how to deal with that. So if you are listening to this and you know that you might have some codependency traits, which we all do, but some are more noticeable than others. So if you're someone who always finds himself dating alcoholics or addicts of some kind, or you always feel like you take care of other people and no one takes care of you, and the list goes on. Chapter 4 in this book is a complete list of different characteristics, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, and it goes into, the core of this goes into how you let go of your own power and the control over yourself and your emotions. And it goes into depth about how it's usually started in childhood. It can also happen later in life if you have a child or a spouse or someone in your family or someone close to you, there's like some chaotic event, or there's addictions that happen that you can't control, and this can happen later in life too. But for me personally, it was very early on from childhood, and because it was so much of a normal thing in my family, I had no idea, and so I would experience these things happen in my intimate relationships and know that it wasn't working and it wasn't healthy, but not knowing what it was or how to deal with it. So I highly, again, recommend this book. It's called Codependency No More. But it really delves into identifying where you are codependent, and being able to use the steps in this book to come back to yourself and learn how to create healthy boundaries and self-esteem, and other tools that's kind of based off of a 12-step program. And it actually suggests using 12-step programs to be able to really delve into this and have other people and a community that can help walk you through the recovery process. And the good news is that it is a healing process, and it's not easy and it takes time, but that it is available. So I wanted to share this with you this week. I just started reading this book and really felt almost like a coming home, and just an amazing understanding of myself, of really being able to be like, that's what I've been feeling, and that's what this is, and taking the heat and the trigger off of the word codependency, because to me that meant a doormat or someone who can't take care of themselves, and that's very much not what it means. So I encourage you to read this book. Another one that I've been reading that's also based off of a 12-step program is Russell Brand's new book, The Freedom from Our Addictions. And I just love his sense of humor and how he talks anyway, his English wittiness. But another great book if you have people in your life who are addicts, or you are addicted to food or work or sex or alcohol or whatever it is. These two books combined together are awesome. There's also a ton of 12-step programs out there if you're into that or maybe interested in it. It's free and a really great avenue for help. So I hope this finds you well this week, and I encourage you to kind of delve into one of these books, or even just start looking into it for yourself or maybe someone you know. And I'll see you next week. Bye.